100 times. So we get news yesterday, no Jamal, no Quandre, no Will, make those moves, and we'll see. There's probably going to be more. Salk and I talking about just the reshaping of this team with John Schneider now, the lead dog and all of that, but Mike Macdonald beside him. As Mike Macdonald starts to reshape this team in his vision, what do you anticipate it looking like? And I guess the first step of that would be free agency and then obviously the draft in 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, I think, based off of what we've seen and how things are going, and I very quickly, I need to ask both of you, did any of those moves surprise you?
No.
Because I had zero. I mean, I didn't even arch an eyebrow. Like I didn't even do the Rock trying to arch it for the rim and bring the people's elbow.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, those were to be expected, right? Those are kind of simple because of money, age, injury issues, all the things you can list, right?
Yep.
So all that happens. Now, if you talk about Mike Macdonald from the time that I've been around him, use Kyle Hamilton as kind of a guide for you. We all know finding Kyle Hamilton is not easy because of his ability to do so many different things. But he likes his defenses and his players to be able to do many different things. So that's what was going to be interesting to watch and see. The other part is they did such a great job with the Ravens. We had them against Miami, I think it was New Year's Eve. Big-time ball game because if Baltimore wins, they clinch the number 1 seed. Miami's still trying to show the world that, hey, we're not just a flashy group we can play. You get the idea. Watching that game, Baltimore kept losing secondary players. Like top-line secondary players, like Marlon Humphrey, can't play. They were starting all year with, I can't remember his name now, Kenneth Darby. He goes down. He doesn't even play in the game. All of a sudden you look up, Rocky Sin, who had been a third, who they'd gotten to hopefully be a starter, he had been dropped to third team. Arthur Mollett, who's kind of been a special teams, occasional nickel fill-in, he's on the field. My point being, all these guys filled in and played really, really well. You're going to get a coach that's going to make sure that all his guys are coached up and ready to play. And then he will adapt to who's on the field in terms of calls on defense, how you can work different things, what works for the guys that are out there versus, oh, this is my system, this is what I'm going to call. Mm-hmm. He's not going to ask Arthur Mollett to be Marlon Humphrey, right? He's going to know what he has, who's out there, and then adapt and play accordingly. And then maybe lean on some other guys. Because in that game, I think he pulled aside Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith and said, fellas, can you give me just a tad more? And boy, did they ever.
Any Kyle Hamiltons in this draft? And I'm not talking a 6'4", 220-pound safety that can run like the wind and do all those things. But how about just, we know the receivers, quarterbacks, tackles, that all the conversation circled around them, and we'll talk about them. How about a defensive guy or two, Charles, that you kind of look at and go, okay, Mike Macdonald's system, maybe they're at 16, maybe they trade back in the 20s, a guy that can just do and be a multiple player and not just a one peg in the puzzle, can actually do a few different things. Or anybody in this draft that jumps out in that regard?
It's really hard to find that guy. It really is, Brock, because and we're, obviously we're basing it on Hamilton being beyond sensational. Like when I do this every year, I count my misses as much as I count my hits. All right. In fact, because the three of us, I'm pretty sure I know all of us together, we agonize more about the misses than we ever celebrate the hits because we want to get them all right. And we know that in scouting and in evaluation, you're just not going to. Hamilton is one that I will, like, if it ends tomorrow, that's the one I got right from day one and was able to stick with it. And then when he ran the 4.56 and everybody flipped out, he's too slow, he's this, I stuck with it. I knew he was that guy. What I'm looking at, though, is really like a Chop Robinson edge rusher from Penn State, guys. He blew away the combine with speed and agility and the whole thing. But I'm having this thing with Penn State edge rushers. I'm trying to figure certain things out. Odafai Owe. Right? Remember he was Jason Owe when he came out? He comes out of Penn State, and he destroys us in the combine. He runs like the wind. He jumps. He does everything. And then you look down, and he had 0 sacks his last year at Penn State. Chop Robinson blows us away this time. Again, he had 4 sacks this year. Production numbers out of Penn State don't always match what the potential is coming out. And I've been trying to figure out what I'm missing, how it goes, because the other guy opposite him, Adisa Isaac, who's not nearly as highly regarded, will probably be a day 2, maybe even day 3 pick. He had 7.5 sacks and more pressures.
Mm-hmm.
So was it just everyone kicking everything to him? That's something I have to ask. But can Chop Robinson do more than just rush off the edge? Based off the speed, agility, what I saw, the answer is yes. He becomes a much more versatile piece because of what we've seen. I guess the closest, and I'll leave it here, would probably be Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
The safety out of Iowa. Mm-hmm. Because I can drop him into the nickel. I can play him outside on the edge. I can bring him back to safety if I want to. I can make him a dime linebacker because of his size and his tackling ability. And then, of course, he can return punts. You know, I'm not even looking for kickoff returners anymore because I don't know how much longer I have to play anyway. But I want the punt returner because I think that's going to stay in it. But this kid, he might be the closest we have. And, of course, he's going to go through the scrutiny. Yep. A white secondary player who plays the corner. Look out. Here comes the Jason Sehorn conversation and the whole deal. I will take him and put him out there because people have forgotten that Jason Sehorn could play before he got hurt.
It's true. So
I do believe that was the answer to it.
We just have another minute with you. And can I ask you a couple of rapid fire, almost yes or no questions?
All right, go.
Will J.J. McCarthy be available when the Seahawks pick at 16?
No.
If Michael Penix is available at 16, should the Seahawks take him?
Drop down
and find a way to take him.
Mm-hmm. Drop down. I think you'll get him later.
Those two are pretty interesting to me.
Is that all you got? Rapid fire? Is that all you got?
Would it be worth trying to, and is it possible to try to trade up into the top 10 to either get one of the top 3 quarterbacks or to get J.J. McCarthy before one of these other teams can?
Here's my quick one. If you're going to get into the top 10 to try and get one of those 4, I think you've got to make sure you get up ahead of 6. That's how high you have to go to get one of the 4.
Wow, you think McCarthy could go that high?
That's my humble opinion. Look, I just put out my first mock, and you know what it is about a mock draft, right? When you put out a mock draft, prepare to be mocked, okay? That's just how it works. I put McCarthy at 6 to the Giants, and that was my 4th quarterback.
That wouldn't surprise me.
In the first 6 picks.
I would rather have McCarthy than Daniel Jones. That makes perfect sense to me.
And by the way, I'd put 5 in the first round. I'm going to give you the spoiler alert. I sent Bo Nix to Denver at 12 because I don't do trades in mine. Other people do trades, and they're much more imaginative. I just do it straight down the line, and wham, there it is.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Charles, this is great. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. We love watching you at the Combine and get excited for the draft and everything else that you do. So thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. And an awkward-looking guard who can play is Christian Haynes out of UConn. You're asking guards, I'm going to give you
What about
guards.
Zach Zinter? Where's my guy Zach Zinter? Went to my high school.
Zach Zinter is going to be just fine. Remember, he's got to get healthy. We didn't see him at the Combine.
He's got to be smart. He went to my high school, I'll tell you that much.
Listen, he's a Michigan offensive lineman. It's like being a Wisconsin offensive lineman.
He will be the first Buckingham Brown and Nichols Knight ever taken into the NFL in the history of the. He'll be the first professional athlete who went to BB&N ever in any sport other than maybe crew.
Are you the Golden Knights or the Black Knights or just simply Knights?
Straight up Knights, man. Blue and yellow, baby. Let's
go.
All right.
You don't
Thanks,
need
Charles.
anything else.
Thank you.
You guys take care. Bye-bye.
There you go. There's Charles Davis.